This is Archer's week 1 video recap. So the first thing that we're going to go over is charging his reward marker. So I've been using a clicker with him. So a reward marker lets our dog know when they got a behavior right, and it will always be followed by a piece of food. When we are charging our reward marker, we do not need to ask Archer for any behaviors. We don't even need to say his name. We are just going to click once and give him a piece of food. And I like to do this maybe 3 or 4 times before we move into our first exercise. So this is just so that he has a really solid association between hearing that click and getting a piece of food. Good job, bud. Right, from here we're going to go into having Archer follow a food lure. So food luring is a common way that we can teach our dog different positions, whether it's getting them into a sit or a down, or teaching them heel position, things like that. So when we're using a food lure, I will hold it flat in my hand with my thumb, and my palm will be facing the dog. So my goal is that I want the dog connected to that piece of food the whole time. So how we're going to do this is I'm going to get Archer licking that piece of food. I'm going to take a few steps, and I want him to move with me. After we've taken a few steps together, then I will click and release that piece of food to him. So my palm is facing him, he's licking the food. We're going to take a couple steps together. I will click and then give him a piece of food. And then we'll do that again. So getting him interested in the food, getting him licking it. Ideally, I want to wait till he's not pawing at my hand to click. I don't want him to learn that pawing is going to get him that food. So we're going to move forward. And then mark and reward. Good job, buddy. We'll do that again. Much better. And I do like to practice this exercise with both hands as well. So we were just doing that with my left hand. Now I'm going to try with my right. And I have him on leash so that if he does start to get jumpy, I can get him down. Good job, buddy. There we go. And then I like to pair this with his name as well to start to work on some name recognition, which is going to be the very beginnings of teaching him a formal recall. Archer. Archer. Go back to my other hand here. Archer. Archer. Good boy. Okay. Right from here, we're going to move into working on our sit. So I know this is something that he already knows, but we're going to do a couple things. First thing we're going to do is we are going to pair this with some leash pressure. So when I cue him to sit, I'm also going to apply some gentle upwards pressure on that leash. As soon as his butt hits the floor, I'll release that pressure, and at the same time I will mark and reward him. The other thing we're going to be working on with his sits is duration. So I like to teach my dog duration right off the bat. If I ask my dog to sit, I want them to stay there until I release them, not give them the food for sitting, and then they get up and walk away. So again, I like to work on duration with this right off the bat and use a release cue to let him out of position. So the cue I've been using with him is okay. So let me show you what this looks like here. So I have my clicker and my leash in one hand, holding the leash with my other hand kind of close to him. When I cue him to sit is when I'm going to put some upwards pressure on that leash. Archer, sit. Okay, I'll reward him a couple of times for some duration here. And then when I'm ready to release him, I will say, okay, and toss a piece of food away. So teaching him that that okay cue means he can get out of position and that he's done doing whatever behavior we asked of him. So we'll do that again. Archer, sit. Okay, we'll do that one more time. Archer, sit. Good boy. Okay. So one of the reasons that I'm working on duration with his sit right now is because when we get to working on door manners, I do need him to be able to hold a sit at the door. So this is a nice way to start to introduce that concept before we get to working on our door manners here. So you can see when he starts to try to jump up, I know he's doing it because I got the food and he's excited, but I'm just stepping on his leash to prevent him from continuing to follow through on jumping up on me. So while I'm talking between the exercises that we're doing, you will most likely see me stepping on his leash like this. Okay. We're going to move on to downs next. So our downs, we are going to do the same way that we did with our sit. We're going to be applying pressure, but instead of applying it up, we're going to be applying it down towards the floor. So with this, I like to teach duration right off the bat with my downs as well. This is going to come into play a little bit later on in this video when we work on our mat skill. So for this, I'm going to hang on to the leash very close to where it's connected to him so that he'll feel some of that pressure. I'm going to cue him to go into that down while I'm also applying downwards pressure on the leash. As soon as his elbows touch the floor, that's when I'll mark with my clicker, reward right on the floor. I'll reward him a couple times in a row and then use that release cue to let him out of position. So hang on to the leash nice and close to him. Archer, down. Rewarding right down on the floor between his paws. A couple times in a row. Okay, good job, buddy. We'll do that again. Archer, down. Okay, we'll do that one more time. Archer, down. Okay, good job, buddy. Okay, from here we're going to take a quick little play break. So I've been bringing this flirt pull over for Archer to play with. I like this toy, especially for dogs that tend to get a little bit mouthy, because I can stay in a standing position, the toy and the dog remain on the floor, and my hands are not part of the equation. So I can get him chasing this around every so often. I do want to let him catch it because I don't want him to get frustrated. When he's in possession of it, we can play some tug. If we are playing some tug, I'm not going to lift him up off the floor or drag him across the floor while he's in possession of it. And then the other thing that I can do too, while he has it in his mouth, is I can handle him a little bit. I can make sure that he's comfortable with me petting him while he's in possession of a toy. I don't want him to think that I'm going to try to take it away from him all the time. Yeah, bud. So I do like to take some play breaks while we're doing some training, especially when we're doing an hour session, because the hour is a really long time to be training. So this is a nice way to kind of get him back to neutral before we move on to our next exercise. Good job, buddy. Get it. Okay, we're going to move on here. Good job, bud. All right. From here, we're going to move into our flying cookie game. So I know recall is really important for you guys, so we're kind of starting to build that from the ground up. So when I'm starting to teach a formal recall, I will spend the first week or so using just my dog's name. Reason being, even when we get to the point where we're using a recall cue, which we're going to be using here, I will always say my dog's name first to gauge their response. So if I say Fluffy come, and Fluffy hasn't even responded to Fluffy, highly unlikely they're going to respond to their recall cue. So what I've been working on with Archer this week is two separate things. First, playing this flying cookie game using just his name, making sure he's responding really well to his name. But then we also have been charging his recall cue, which we're going to be using here. So that's going to be kind of similar to charging our reward marker. So what I want Archer to learn is that when he hears here, he's going to be rewarded at my feet. Recall is an inherently punishing thing for our dog because 9 times out of 10, when we're recalling them to us, we are either putting them on a leash or bringing them in the house. We're taking away their freedom. So the purpose of charging our recall word, which is going to be here, is again for him to learn that he is going to be rewarded at our feet when he hears that word. Okay, so this week when you're calling him in the house, or I don't know, if you're out in the backyard, I want you guys just using his name. And then next week we'll start to play around with pairing that with his recall word. So for our flying cookie game, I'm going to show him a piece of food. I'm going to toss it away and say, go get it. As he's finishing up that piece of food, that's when I'll call his name nice and loud. As soon as he turns in response to his name, that's when I'm going to mark with my clicker, and then he'll come back to me to get the food. And then I'll toss another reset cookie. I'll tell him to go get it, and we'll run through that a couple of times. I'm just going to back up so that you can see this here. Go get it. Archer. Good job, buddy. Go get it. Archer. Good man. Go get it. Archer. Good boy. Go get it. It's over there. Go. Archer. Good boy. Good job, buddy. Nice work. Okay. So I do like to have my dog on leash when I'm playing this game because I want Archer responding to his name the first time I say it, not the 5th, 6th, 7th time. If we get to the point where we're continually repeating her name or his name and he's not coming back to us, he's learning it's optional. So I will say his name just once. If he doesn't respond, I have a couple of options to get him to face my direction and come back to me. I can either boop, 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 make some sort of silly noise to get him to turn in my direction. That's one option. He's on leash. If he's not paying attention, I can put some backwards pressure on that leash to get him to turn in my direction, and then I would mark and reward. Or if he's really blowing me off, I will go up to him with a piece of food, get him to turn in my direction, and then I'll mark and reward. So when we're playing this game, goal is to say his name just once, and then if he doesn't respond, we'll run through those troubleshooting options to make sure he comes back to us that first time. Good job, bud. So the other piece of this is charging his recall cue, which is here. So when we are doing that, let me get a refill on food here. When we are charging his recall cue, we don't need to use the clicker. We don't even need to say his name. He really doesn't even need to come back to us. He's going to because we have the food. But again, this is just so that he makes the association between hearing here and being rewarded at our feet. So I'll do this maybe 4 or 5 times, and then we'll end it. Here. So dropping food at my feet. As he eats it, I'll take a step back. Here. 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 Good job, bud. Good boy. One of the other things I've been working on with Archer this week in combination with the beginnings of recall is getting him dressed. I know sometimes you guys either go to put a leash on him or a collar or harness and he kind of ducks away. It's actually fairly common. And then we start chasing him to try to get a hold of him. He starts running around and it becomes a fun game for him. So we're going to continue to play our flying cookie game a few more repetitions, but this time when he comes back to me, after I reward him for coming back, I am going to practice putting a leash on him and or putting his harness on. So I'm going to show him a piece of food. Go get it. Archer. So marking and rewarding once for him coming back to me, but now I'm going to grab another piece of food and I'm going to grab his harness. I'm going to feed my food hand through the hole of the harness here, get him licking that food while I slip the harness over his head. Yes, good boy. I'm marking that with a yes only because I'm so close to his face right now. If I have the clicker and a clip, it's going to be really loud and I don't want it to startle him. And then I'll take that harness off and we'll do that again. Oh, it got stuck in your collar there, bud. Go get it. Archer. Okay, so clicking and rewarding once for him coming back to me. And then the second piece of food, feeding it through that harness, and then getting him dressed. Yes, good boy. Okay, then we're going to move on to the leash here. So similar concept, go get it. Whoops, you didn't see that one. Go get it. Archer. Good job. So now this time for the leash, I'm going to get him licking a piece of food while I find a little ring on his flat collar. And then when I find the ring on his flat collar, I'll drop that piece of food on the floor. Whoops. And then I can pop that leash on him while he's eating that piece of food off the floor. Let's try that one again here. Good boy. Okay. Good job, buddy. Unclip him here. We'll do that one again. Go get it. Archer. Okay, rewarding once we're coming back. Second time giving him that food while I get the leash on him. Good boy. Good job, bud. Go get it. Archer. So now this time, I'm going to get him into a sit while I get the harness on. But I'm not going to have any food in my hand to start. Yes, good boy. We'll do that one more time. Go get it. Archer. Yes, good job, buddy. I started to introduce Archer to the concept of place this week. So big picture end goal of our place skill is that we cue Archer to go to place. He goes over to his mat, settles into a down, and stays there until we release him. That's a lot of behaviors that we're asking him to do, so we need to break it down. So in week 1, we worked on just building up the value of him having all 4 paws on the mat, and then we also worked up to him laying down, offering us a down position on the mat. So to start out, I'm just going to lay the mat down. As soon as he has all 4 paws on it, I'll mark and reward. I'll reward him a few times for staying on the mat, and then I'll use that okay to release him off the mat. We'll do that a couple times. I'll move the mat between each repetition, and then we're going to progress to him offering me a down position on the mat. So to start out, I'm not calling it anything. I'm more worried that more concerned that he'll do the behavior, and then once he's doing it consistently, then we can name this. Okay, so moving the mat. We should see that he makes his way back to it on his own at this point. Boy. And I'm rewarding right down on the mat, because eventually we want to shape this into a down behavior. If the food happens down on the mat, he'll be more likely to go into that down position and stay in the down position on the mat. Good man. Okay. Good job, buddy. So you can see after each reset cookie that I toss, once I move the mat, he kind of is finding his way back to it. So now we're going to move on to the next step. Okay. Archer, place. So now I'm upping the criteria to I want him offering me a sit or a down on the mat before I'll mark and reward him. Again, rewarding for some duration. Okay, and now I'm going to leave the mat in the same spot. Archer, place. You can already see, since I'm putting that food right down on the mat, he's sinking into that down position. But notice I'm not cueing him sit or down, right? When we say place, it should encompass him going into this position. It's just less we have to say to our dogs, right? We could just tell him place instead of saying place, sit, down, stay. It's just much more clear for him. Okay. So now I want to shape this into he offers me a down. Archer, place. So I'm going to help him the first few times here. But again, not saying D-O-W-N. But now the criteria is I'm not going to reward him until he's laying down in that position on the mat. Okay. Archer, place. Okay. So now I'm going to see if he'll offer me the down. Archer, place. So I'm just going to wait him out, probably a good 10 seconds, to see if he'll sink into that down position. If he doesn't, then I'll help him. There it is. What a smart boy. Okay. Archer, place. Again, giving him time to try to figure it out before I help him. Good job, bud. Okay. Archer. Place. What a smart boy. Good job, bud. Okay, we're going to do one more rep here. Okay. Archer, place. Good boy. Good job, buddy. Okay. And then for the first week or so while he's learning about place, I don't want him to really have access to this unless we're actually working on it. I know you keep it in his crate. I would continue to keep it in there. But I don't want it just like out on the floor unless you're actually working on this play skill with him, just for the next week or so. I've been working on some cooperative toy play with Archer this week in preparation of teaching him a drop it cue. So for this game, I call it 2-ball game. You need 2 identical toys because we're going to be switching them out. If we use 2 different toys, he will likely favor one over the other, and whatever one he favors, he probably will not let go of. So the way that I like to kind of start the game of playing 2-ball game is I will cue him ready before I even bring the toys out, so that he starts to learn that ready means there's an opportunity for play. I'm going to toss one toy away. Ideally, I want him to bring it back to me, and then while he is still in possession of it, I'm going to present the second one. As soon as he drops the one that he has, I will mark that with a yes and tell him get it and toss the second one, and we'll keep going back and forth where we're switching out that toy. Once he's bringing it back to me and consistently dropping it when I bring the other one out, that's when I will add the drop cue into the mix. So when we are done playing the game, I don't want to end toy play on a drop it cue. Reason being, I want Archer to learn that when he hears drop, there will always be more opportunity for play. If we tell him drop and then we end the game there, he may be likely to not drop it, right? Because he knows the game might end. So at our very last repetition, when he brings it back to me, I will trade out the toy for food, I will tell him enough, and then I'll put the toys away. So that is his cue that game is over. Ready? Get it. Okay, so the second one's behind my back. Good job, buddy. And I can play a little bit of tug with him if I want to. I just want to make sure that he has it in his mouth before I present that second one. Yes, go get it. Good job, buddy. Good boy. Ooh. Good man. Yes, get it. Good job. Good boy. Oh my goodness. Yes, get it. Okay, so now we're going to add the drop cue into the mix. Good job, buddy. Archer, drop. Yes, get it. Good boy. And if he doesn't bring it back, then I'll try to play with him a little bit to get him to bring it back over to me. Bring it. Good boy. Archer, drop. Yes, get it. Good boy. Archer, drop. Yes, get it. Okay, then when I'm going to end the game, I will bring out some food. I will scatter the food on the floor. Enough. And then the toys go away. Good job, buddy. What a good boy. I started working on door manners with Archer this week. So for me, open door is not an invitation for my dog to run out of it. So our goal for this week is for Archer to remain in a sit or a down position, whatever one I ask him for, while I open the door. So I do want to have him on leash for this as a safety backup. And then I'm going to use that leash pressure to get him into the sit like we were at the beginning of the video. But the idea is that I want him to stay in a sit position while I start to reach for the door. If he stays in a sit, I'll mark and reward him. We'll reset, we'll run through it again. Again, goal for the week is that I'm able to push the door open and he remains in that sit position. So because he already knows sit, when I get him into that position, I'm not going to feed him right away because I kind of want him to anticipate that the food's going to happen. He'll be more likely to stay in that sit position. So if I need to, I can use food to help him, but I'm not going to give it to him, okay? So let's kind of do a reset here. Archer, sit, good boy, wait. So rewarding at the end of the sequence. Okay, use that release cue to let him out of position and reset. Archer, sit, good boy, wait. So this time I'll open the door a little bit more. Good boy. Okay, good job, buddy. We'll do that again. Archer, sit, good boy, wait. Good man. Okay, and we're gonna try one more here. We'll see if I can start to step through that threshold. Archer, sit, good boy, wait. Uh-oh. So if he gets up, we're just gonna start over again. Archer, sit, wait. Good boy. Nice job, buddy. Okay. Here, right here. So in week 2, our goal will be that I'm able to step out the door while he remains in that sit position. And you can practice this at any door. It doesn't have to be an exterior door. You could use a bedroom door or the door into your mudroom. But we do want to work up to using the glass door. Since it's going to be a little more distracting, he can see everything that's going on outside. This would probably be the most challenging door for him. Good job, bud. I've been introducing Archer to the look at that exercise in relation to the cars. So you had mentioned that he is lunging at vehicles. So we've been playing look at that to try to condition a different response to him seeing a vehicle. So this has just been dependent upon if we see cars while we're out and about. No. So it'll depend on if we see any cars. So the goal with this exercise is we need to make sure he's under threshold. So what I mean by that is we need to be far enough away from the car that he's responding to the clicker and he's taking food from us. If he's too close to the car when we start this process, he's not going to be in a state of mind where he can learn. So we've been posting up in the driveway. I would say we're about halfway up your driveway, or we're kind of almost at the flagpole. So we've been kind of posting up in the driveway, seeing if any vehicles come by. When they do, as soon as he spots them, even if they're all the way down the street, I'm going to start playing that game then. So he'll look at the car, I'll click. Ideally, he looks back to me to take the food. Then he'll look at the car again, I will click again, he'll turn back to take the food, and so on and so forth. So again, we are trying to condition a different response from him to seeing the vehicle. What we should start to see, what we should start to see is that when he sees a vehicle, he will just look back to us instead of starting to load and try to lunge at the vehicle. So timing of this is really important because if he looks at the car, we wait too long, he does start to load, then we click, that's essentially what we're reinforcing. So for right now, we want to click the moment he sees the vehicle starting to approach, okay? So we're just gonna hang out here for a few minutes. We're gonna see if any cars go by. If not, we'll try this again next week. But I at least wanted to give you verbally the instructions for this exercise. So I see a school bus coming, so we're gonna play it right now, okay? So we are in the driveway. As soon as he sees the bus, I'm gonna click. Boy. So you can see there, the bus went by. We were fairly close. Again, we're kind of around the flagpole. No lunging at the bus. So what we should start to see, the more repetitions of this that we get under our belt, is he'll see the bus approaching. He'll see the bus approaching, and he will just look to us. So bus is coming back. So we're going to do the same thing on the way back here. Okay, bus is stopping. So I'm going to do this the whole time that bus is stopped. Again, it's pretty rapid fire, so you may need to have a few pieces of food already in your hand, or you may just need to be prepared whatever you're using as your treat pouch. Make sure it's something you can easily grab food from. And then if I think it's going to be too much for him, I will tell him, let's go, and we'll move away.